out of it. Because it's so easy. So they gave a group like, here's a fork, make a religion of the fork. Here's a blender, have fun with that. And they gave one group a boot. And they said, make a religion out of it. So this, when it's time to present, this group gets up there, and this kid gets up, and he puts on the heavy southern accent. And he's like, this boot is the God. And Crocs, those are the work of the devil, because they have horns. This boot is God because it protects us from the water and all those horrible things. And it turned out Brother Jed came to their campus later. And so here's Brother Jed yelling and making people feel horrible who haven't heard of him. And he gets out there and he's doing this thing. And so these atheists walk around, they're like, well, we can do it. He's silly. Like, that guy's crazy. Why not just have a preacher right next to him talking about the religion of the boots? So that's, I'm going to come back to that. That's what this kid did. He had the boots. He's so effective that Jed just had to sit down because he knew he was outmatched. Everyone started crowding around this guy and saying, yeah, I agree with you, that boot's a really good thing. By the way, other things to do when Brother Jed comes to your campus. Some groups have a bingo card that they hand out, and so on the bingo card are things like sodomy, homosexuality, hell, fornication, and if you win, they give you like a Richard Dawkins book or something. So now you have a bunch of people sitting around Brother Jed, listening intently, yelling for joy when he says certain things. And also Brother Jed sometimes does double duty with his partner, Sister Cindy. And Sister Cindy, I think that's her name, she was there at a campus, and this is what a sign that one of the guys held up. It's a Bible verse. There's also those groups that when one of those preachers is talking about how being gay is a horrible thing, they'll just start making out right in front of them, the two guys, and just, again, whatever you do, take a picture. Remember this stuff. So, there's the boot protest. This is a group at Texas Tech. They decided, hey, your soul doesn't exist, so let's sell it and we'll give you a cookie. It's a better exchange for you than it is for us. They even they had a lot of people interested too. They even had a little board, sometimes if you're fundraising or something, you might have a thermometer that says, we've raised $1,000, and they filled it in along the way. They just had a big board with little, gingerbread men, outlines, and as people started trading their souls for a cookie, they just colored it in, and they started getting higher and higher. This is a group at Michigan, the Grand Rapids Center for Inquiry. They just said, let's send an atheist to church. I'd like to take credit for this, but I don't think I'm the first one to do it. They said, hey, we're members of the atheist group here. We'll talk to you about it. What we're offering is if you give us a certain donation for our group, we will be, one of our members of our group will go to the church of your choice and we'll sit through a service. I think they added in, if we sit through the service, the deal is we have to be able to have a conversation about it afterwards. What we heard, what we liked, what we didn't like, why we're not part of that church, and why we wouldn't want to be part of that church. But hey, that's a great idea. And they have a lot of people in their group, so they could do something like that and have enough manpower, quote unquote, to go to a lot of different places. I think we have some people from Wichita State here. Yes? Go you guys. So what better way to celebrate the end of the rapture than having a conference on that weekend, which I believe goes through the 22nd after the rapture. Is that right?
It's an all-day event on the day of the rapture.
Beautiful. So we'll know by the end of the day whether the rapture happened.
Walking the end for us all.
I cannot wait. So there you go. Again, all of these are college students putting this stuff together, getting it out there. There's no reason all campus groups can't do it either. But, when you have access to that many people at an age when people are really eager to talk about this stuff and there's not a lot of venues to talk about it, more power to the atheist groups for setting stuff like this up. Okay, next thing, being charitable. This is something atheist groups are fantastic at. This is a group in Metro State, atheists in Colorado. They had a food drive where they said, if you give us non-perishable foods, we'll give you a banned book in return. which sounds like a fair trade. And all of those banned books that they got, because they're all for free speech and reading, like we shouldn't censor what you read, they got all those banned books donated from people. So you could either donate a book or a bunch of books, or you could donate money so they could buy banned books. And that way they got a lot of exchange, and they donated all that food to the local food bank, which is pretty awesome. Similar thing, University of Northern Iowa. They have a group called the Free Thinkers and Inquirers. They heard that, the National Day of Prayer was last week, so a Christian group on campus had a 24/7 prayer week. I think they had someone praying in the church, like they took shifts or something, but they had someone praying all week. And their thought is, well, okay, whatever. We actually want to do something that helps people. Let's take some action. So they decided to hold a 24/7 service week. And so every day of the week, they did some sort of volunteer activity with members of their group, and they invited other people to join them. And I had to write this down because there were so many things. They went to a food bank to give food. They planted trees around their campus. They went to a local retirement home and spent time with the people who were there. They cleaned up roadsides nearby their campus. These are the things they were doing. And again, like I said, they didn't just do it as atheists. They invited as many people as they could to join them along with them. And that brings up another point, this food bank thing. When my atheist group in college, we didn't have a lot of money because, college kids don't have money and they can't give you a lot of dues. So, our budget was really low. But at some point we had like $40 or $50, which we could spring together fairly. I know, how? I don't know. But we could manage to get that money somehow. But what we did is we just went to like a local grocery store and we bought bread, peanut butter, jelly, we got some fruits, like generic cola, granola bars, and sack lunches. And we had our group make the sandwiches, make the lunches, put them in the sack lunches. And we live in a big enough city in Chicago where we just sent people off to different parts of the city with giant bags of lunches, because there's so many homeless people in the area, and just give it to them. Now, I heard from someone that that's kind of illegal, because you can't just give people food like that. But I think the thought counts, so yay for that. This is a similar thing. In Austin, Texas, this isn't a campus group, but I just love this project. This is the Atheists in Austin, Texas. They just do a thing called Atheists Helping the Homeless, where they do something like that, where they just buy enough to feed a lot of people. They set up a table at a place where they know homeless people are at, and they just give them lunches. And that's it. I mean, there are videotapes online of them, like a time-lapse thing, because they're there for hours. And you can just see the number of people that come through their line really needing that food. And the whole idea that there's no heaven in the afterlife, so you got to do what you can on earth to help people, that's what a lot of these groups embody. A couple more things here. There's a group at Texas A&M. They heard Brother Jed was coming to their school, and you guys did this too here at Soma. You heard the Phelps were coming here yesterday, so you raised money for Planned Parenthood. How much did you guys raise? $600. $600 for Planned Parenthood off the back of the collection. That's smart. And that's awesome, because they're coming. They're always, someone like that's always going to be around. Might as well use them to raise money for a cause. And that's what the group at Texas A&M did when they heard that Brother Jed was coming to their campus. They had a thing called Donations Against Damnations. Give us money when Brother Jed is coming, because Jed thinks you're all going to hell. And we're going to use whatever money we collect to donate to a few different groups on campus. And they all held signs. There are Christians in here too. I'm an atheist, but religious people are cool too. I'm a Christian, but non-religious people are cool too. They raised money and they gave it to like the women's group on campus, the pride group on campus, the atheist group, one other that I'm forgetting. But again, hey, those people are going to be there. Use them for a good cause. I think at University of Springfield, Missouri, where they did Skepticon, they asked Jed, hey, if we raise $100 to give to like cancer research, would you allow someone to throw a water balloon at you? He's like, I don't care. And they did. They're like, guys, he will let us throw a water balloon at him if you raise money now in the next hour. And they raised $100 in an hour, and I think it was a lesbian who ended up with the water balloon in her hand. And, oh, she threw that thing hard. This is a girl named Leslie Zucker. A woman named Leslie Zucker. I think she's graduated from Reed College in Oregon, really liberal university. She heard this story that you always hear the story that when people go to prison, they always read the Bible in prison. You know, they become a born-again Christian when they're incarcerated. She's like, you never hear anybody saying, yeah, I was in prison, then I read the God Delusion. And I became like a better person. How come they never read any atheist books when they're in prison? And it turns out there's an answer to that. It's that they don't have any. Most of those prison libraries are donated by churches. And so they have tons of Bibles for you to read. They have lots of Christian books for you to read, but they don't have any atheist books. So she wrote to just about every atheist author she could think of saying, would you be willing to donate some of your books so that I could send them to prisons around the country? Or, you know, she had people, you could donate money so I could buy books to send prisons around the country. And these are just a sampling of the books she got. And she, like, the thing that cost money here was the shipping to the different prisons. Because so many prisons wanted books that were different. And sometimes they didn't even ask. You would just send them off to those prisons because they kind of got to take them. What are they going to do? But I saw some of the letters that prisoners sent back to her. And, like, I'll admit, I had a very stereotypical idea of what a prisoner's letter would look like. But these were the most well-written, like, nicely stated things they could. And they said, like, I'm so thankful that you were able to send me Sam Harris's The End of Faith, because there just isn't anything for me to read here. And it was just eye-opening to me that all these things are happening in the world. Like, it's amazing. So that's free thought books for prisoners. And the last thing in this category, this is the University of Illinois, Champaign again, and Ohio State University. They have their spring breaks. And they had them coincidentally at the same time. And it turns out, you know, in a lot of colleges, they have something called alternative spring break, where you don't just take a week off and go home, you take a week and go do a volunteer service trip somewhere. And they found out that they decided they really want to go to New Orleans, because this was not too long after Katrina. They really wanted to go down there, but they didn't have the money or the means to go down there. All these people wanted to go. And they're like, well, who has the means and the money to go down there? It was a Christian group on campus. So they asked the Christian group, can we all go with you? And the Christians are like, sure, why not? The more the merrier, right? And they said, like, they had some awesome conversations, because that's a long drive down there. But altogether, I mean, they managed to fix up a lot of houses that were broken down. They were repainting stuff, and they did that during the entire day. Then they would go out at night and celebrate with their friends, and they'd do it again all week. So it's an exhausting thing. But they started doing this a few years ago, and they're still doing it now, which is awesome. And it's just gotten bigger. So the last thing, what are college groups really good at? They're good at just being there. I mean, for an atheist who doesn't really know any of this stuff is going on, which is a lot of people, to know that there are other atheists on campus, that's a big deal, because you realize there's someone else out there who I can talk to about my atheism, because I know when I became an atheist, I didn't know anyone else who was an atheist. So the fact that someone else exists and you see a poster that says, like, atheist welcome, that would have been awesome when I was in high school. And, like, there was no group in college, so I had to start one, and I'm sure that's the case for a lot of you guys, and I'm sure it was a relief when you go to your college and you're like, there's a huge atheist group here, that's gotta be cool. So just being there, this is the group, Alabama Atheists and Agnostics. That's their logo, I just like it. Like, you can't get offended by that unless you're really, really crazy out there. But we believe in good, and it says atheists on there, and if that symbol came as a plush doll, I would buy so many of them. Here's something that happened just a couple weeks ago, and this came from a student leader who said, we just want to set up a table on our campus and have like a sign that says, ask an atheist whatever you want, just to show them we're on campus, we're willing to engage them in conversation. And they said, are other groups interested in joining us? Because, you know, if two campus groups do it at the same time, maybe we can make a bigger splash in the media or something like that. And we sent it out to every group we had for the SSA, and it turned out a lot of groups wanted to participate. So across the country, we had all this material for them. They set up Ask an Atheist booths. I just read about this week because it didn't take place, it wasn't too far from where I lived. A high school group, and there's not a lot of them, but a high school group in Elgin, Illinois, set up the same table at their high school. And their principal allowed them to do it because other groups would have the same opportunity. They just set up a booth like this, and if students wanted to come to their table and talk about religion, they would engage in the conversation. One mother was so upset that this happened, she pulled her kids out of school for the rest of the day because they were willing to talk about religion. How crazy is that? I actually got a call from a reporter who said, are there any college groups in Illinois? Because I kind of want to do an article about atheism, but I don't know.